Alright guys, it is that time of the week again and we are back for our championship score predictions ahead of the weekend. As always, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. How do you see all of these matches unfolding? If you are new around here as well, make sure to subscribe and do drop a like if you're going to enjoy as well. If we could hit 350, that would be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's jump in. And starting out the weekend with a big one on Friday night at Kenilworth Road as Luton host West Brom. Luton badly in need of a result here. They currently find themselves in the bottom three, looking to bounce back from consecutive defeats. Now, to be fair, this does feel like a decent point of the season to be playing West Brom, who are without a win in their last 6 championship matches now. Hitting the back of the net has been a real issue for Carlos Corberán's men of late. They've only scored 1 goal in the last 450 minutes of championship football, and in contrast to that, while Luton have been struggling to string together consistent results this season, goals haven't really been a problem for them of late. They've scored 8 goals in their last 5 matches. It's just been at the opposite end of the pitch where Luton have been having most of their problems. I don't know if there's something about it being a Friday night under the lights at Kenilworth Road. I actually thought that Luton in their last home game against Sunderland put in a decent performance, to be honest with you. They had some good chances in that game, ultimately ended up losing it 2-1 though. With the lack of goals in that West Brom side right now, I've just got a feeling that maybe Luton could show up for something in this one. Score prediction here, I'm going to go 2-1 Luton. Why not for that game? Next then, onto the first of the Saturday early kickoffs. We're heading to Ewood Park for Blackburn up against Sheffield United. Blackburn looking to bounce back from that loss last time out against Watford. Being back at Ewood Park, I always struggle to back against Blackburn in those scenarios. They've just been so strong at home so far this season. They've got the joint best home record in the championship so far, having picked up 16 points from their first 6 home matches with 5 wins and a draw so far. And as we've seen recently with Sheffield United, they have been a little bit dodgy on the road. It was obviously back-to-back defeats away from home for Sheffield United before they responded over the weekend with that good result against Stoke City. Goals haven't been in hot supply for the Blades on the road so far this season. Right now they are averaging less than a goal per game on the road. They've obviously fired a blank in each of their last 2 away matches as well. Defensively, Sheffield United have typically been so good this season though that I don't think this one will be a goal fest. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a low scoring draw. 1-1 I'm going between these two. Next up we go to Oxford United up against Swansea. Both sides could really do with a win in this game. Oxford now without a win in their last 7 championship matches, albeit they've had a lot of draws recently, and Swansea find themselves without a win in their last 6. It does feel like a low scoring affair, especially with Swansea involved right now, who have now failed to score in their last 5 championship matches. This goal drought is becoming a real concerning point for Swansea, who have only scored 8 goals so far this season, which makes them by far the lowest scorers in the league. Pound for pound, it does feel like Oxford have more firepower about them, especially in their home matches where they have failed to lose so far this season. A low scoring draw here wouldn't surprise me. I just think with Oxford being at home, I could see them edging it. 1-0 Oxford, I'm going in this game, and maybe for Swansea's goal drought to continue. And then the last of the early kickoffs on Saturday sees Stoke going up against Derby. Another game where I don't see there being a great deal between either side in this one either. For Derby, all 3 of their last championship matches have ended as a 1-1 draw. And I wouldn't be surprised if this game heads down a similar avenue. Stoke have been fairly draw heavy of late as well. 3 of their last 4 games have all ended level, with the exception of the weekend last time out where they were beaten by Sheffield United. It was always going to be a tough game for them in that one. Not many teams will leave Bramall Lane with many points this season. A concern for Stoke right now is perhaps how many chances they're tending to give to the opposition. So far this season, only Watford, Portsmouth and Plymouth Argyle have conceded a larger XG than Stoke have up until this point. While Derby haven't exactly been the most free scoring of sides on the road so far this season, I could definitely see them nicking a goal or 2 in this game. I think I'm sitting on the fence for this one. 1-1 draw I'm saying between those two. Don't think there'll be a great deal in it. Next then we go to Cardiff up against Norwich City. I have a feeling this one could be a decent game of football, you know. Norwich still on a decent unbeaten run. They've not lost any of their last 7 matches, albeit they have been pretty draw heavy of late, with the last 3 matches all ending level against Middlesbrough, Preston and Stoke City. It was a cracking game that Norwich were involved in last time out, that 3-3 draw with Middlesbrough Middlesbrough. Kenny McLean will obviously be an absentee for this match after that red card that he picked up in that game against Borough, so he'll be an obvious miss for this one. From a Cardiff perspective, you've got to hand it to them. They're on a decent roll right now as well, especially at home. They've won their last 3 home matches without conceding a goal in any of them. I do think this will be one of their biggest tests, especially that they faced at Cardiff so far this season. Norwich are scoring goals for fun at the moment. They've got arguably the most informed player in the league right now as well in Borja Sainz, but at the opposite end of the pitch, Norwich haven't been great at keeping the opposition out. They've only kept 1 clean sheet in their last 8 matches. I think the sooner Angus Gunn is back to full fitness for Norwich, the better really. So I definitely think both teams will score in this match. Cardiff have been creating a lot more chances recently. I just think maybe Norwich swing it with that bit of extra quality. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 2-1 Norwich. It feels harsh to back against Cardiff, especially at home right now, but I just think the Canaries have that bit more quality maybe. Next up we go to Hull up against Portsmouth. Can Pompey claw a result out of nowhere in this game? They're desperately in need of one right now, and I do think they'll get chances in this one against Hull, but whether or not they can take them and keep Hull out at the opposite end, I'm not too sure right now. From a Hull perspective, they've not won any of their last 4, but their last 2 matches have ended as draws. Generally speaking as well, Hull have been decent at playing the sides in and around the bottom of the table so far this season. The 3 wins they've picked up this far into the campaign have come against Stoke, Cardiff and QPR, so 3 sides who have been down there. Obviously, we recently got the news about Liam Miller as well, who's set to miss the entirety of the campaign with an ACL injury, which is an absolutely devastating blow for Hull. I really thought he'd add something to that forward line this season, so they're going to have to compensate for the loss of him somehow. This is a game where Pompey could get something from it, but on the balance of probabilities, I think I'm backing Hull here. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 2-1 to the Tigers and back them to get back to winning ways. Next day we go to Ellen Road for Leeds United up against Plymouth Argyle. Plymouth right now are just 2 completely different sides. The one that plays at home park and the one that plays away from home. In home games this season, Plymouth have been a top 10 side in the Championship in terms of the points they're picking up at home park, but away from home, they've been by far the worst team in the league. Going away to a place like Ellen Road as well, this is the sort of game where if Leeds are properly up for it, you could see them scoring quite a few goals. Even thinking back to Plymouth's match against Preston over the weekend, I was amazed at how easy Preston found it to create an abundance of chances in that game. Don't get me wrong, Plymouth did brilliant to come back in that game in the end, but how leaky they looked defensively, a side like Leeds has to be licking their lips going up against this back line. From a Leeds perspective, they've been consistently picking up results of late, but it still feels like we're waiting for that big performance from them this season where they score 4 or 5 goals and really put a side to the sword. I think that obviously injuries have taken their toll on Daniel Farke's side of late. That goalless draw was a really frustrating one last time out against Bristol City, but I do think Leeds will be pretty comfortable in this match. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 4-0 Leeds and back them for their biggest win so far. After that, to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Coventry. This one has the feel of quite an entertaining game of football. It's interesting because it's 2 of the most wasteful sides in the Championship going up against each other here. Both of them tend to get into really good positions, but whether or not they take their chances, it depends what day you catch them on, really. Middlesbrough statistically have been the most wasteful side in the Championship up until this point, and Coventry have been the 4th most wasteful side. With that being said, they both had their goal-scoring boots on last time out. Coventry, with a great comeback against Luton, put 3 goals past them in that game, and Middlesbrough went away to Norwich and put 3 goals past them in that game. Obviously a bonkers 3-3 draw in the end. Coventry are yet to prove that they can put together back-to-back consistent results, but the weekend was certainly a good starting point with that great comeback against Luton. With that being said, I've liked the look of Middlesbrough recently. Ben Doak especially, someone who's really caught my eye. I think one of the most exciting wingers in the Championship right now, obviously on loan from Liverpool. I think both teams will get some good opportunities in this game. It's just a question of which strike force is on song for it. Score prediction for me, I think I'm just edging it towards Borough. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 2-1 Middlesbrough. Worth remembering, Coventry are yet to win on the road this season. Next then we go to Deepdale for Preston up against Bristol City. There was so much to like about Preston's performance over the weekend against Plymouth, but to have thrown it away, having been 3 goals up in that match, so frustrating. But we're back at Deepdale now, where we have been really strong so far this season. In the league, we've only lost once at home so far this season, and that was under Ryan Lowe at the start of the season, so Heckingbottom still unbeaten at Deepdale. But we're going up against a very resilient Bristol City side who don't tend to give up that much to the opposition. 7 of their 12 games this season have ended as a draw, and I mean, in recent history in the Championship, there's really not been a lot to separate Preston and Bristol City. It feels like the sort of match that does have draw written all over it. Worth remembering as well, Preston are in action tonight in the EFL Cup against Arsenal, so there is potential for North End to be a little bit jaded perhaps for this one. Depends how many changes Heckingbottom is going to make for that match. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this one ends level. Score prediction here, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between these two. Next then we go to QPR up against Sunderland. QPR have a pretty tough fixture run on the horizon before this next international break. The next 3 games are up against Sunderland, Middlesbrough and Leeds, and then we've got the November international break. Obviously they currently find themselves 23rd in the Championship, and those aren't really the sort of matches I don't think you want to be playing right now against 3 really top sides. With that being said, QPR really raised their game against the top sides last season. Thinking back, they had some brilliant results under Sheff Utd. They beat Leicester, they had that cracking result against Leeds at the end of the season where they beat them 4-0. If they can rise to those standards again, there's no reason why they can't give Sunderland a really good run for their money in this one. Obviously, it was a very standoffish sort of performance for QPR last time out against Burnley, but a decent point I thought, albeit they're going up against another very informed team here in Sunderland who have won 4 of their last 5 matches. Everything seems to be coming together for that team right now. They're playing some lovely football, they're scoring some really quality goals as well. I think I'd be foolish not to be back in Sunderland again for this one. Score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Sunderland on the road for that one. After that we're heading to Hillsborough for Sheffield Wednesday up against Watford. Sheffield Wednesday obviously in action in midweek last night in the EFL Cup. In terms of their Championship form of late, it has been decent. They've only lost 1 of their last 6 matches, and that was against a Burnley side who are currently sat in the top 2. Decent win for them last time out away at Portsmouth as well, turning that game around in the second half and winning it 2-1. And they're going up against the Watford side who have been quite differing in their approach to home and away matches so far. At Vicarage Road, they've been really strong. They got that good result against Blackburn last time out. Away from home, they haven't quite had that same fortune. They've lost their last 5 consecutive away matches. I've only scored 2 goals in that time as well. While they're still sourcing out that away form, I reckon Wednesday could just edge this one. Score prediction here, I'm going to go 2-1. Sheffield Wednesday in that game. And then to finish off the weekend at the Den on Sunday for Millwall up against Burnley. Now defensively, both sides have been excellent of late. They've both only conceded 1 goal in their last 5 Championship matches, so I think there's definitely reason to think that we could get a tight game at the Den here. On the opposite end of the pitch, neither team has really been that free scoring of late. Burnley have obviously had their frustrations in front of goal. We spoke about that on a video from the weekend. It was a goalless draw for Burnley against QPR, despite having all the sort of territorial domination in that game with possession and things like that. They weren't really able to craft out any clear-cut chances in that match. I do think there's something in the fact that Burnley and the way they approach games probably suits away matches more than it does at Turf Moor. I think when teams come to Turf Moor, a lot of them are happy to sit behind the ball, and Burnley aren't great at breaking down those sorts of teams, whereas when Burnley are away from home, teams are forced to come onto them a little bit more, and on the counter-attack, they can be pretty deadly. I just think this is the sort of game where neither team gives up much to the opposition. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 0-0. 0-0 between those two. Goalless draw to finish off the weekend. Well guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and make sure to get all your score predictions in the comments down below as well. Other than that though guys, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.